Hi everyone, it's Luke at Young Writers, and I'm here today with a very special guest, Miss Norry. So how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Luke. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
So, for anyone out there that doesn't quite know who you are or familiar what you do, would you just give us a little introduction into your wonderful magical world?
Okay, so I'm Emma Norry, and I write under EL and M sometimes as well. And I'm basically a writer for children. So I write for the age group 9 to sort of 13, 14 specifically. But I write all sorts and have written all sorts since I started writing, which is probably about 20 odd years. But yeah, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been published, and my first book is Son of the Circus, which is historical fiction set in Victorian times, which was part of Scholastic's Voices series. And then I've written, biographies. I've got a biography of Lionel Messi coming out in September for young readers. Written a biography of Nelson Mandela for younger readers, and the latest book out, and sort of more commercial contemporary action adventure, is Amber Undercover, which is kind of tween, really, so that we're talking kind of, instead of 9, we're talking kind of 10, 11 to sort of 13 plus. But yeah.
Nice. So, I mean, I actually had a question about that. So, is there a difference? There might not be, between M and EL. Is there like different avenues that you go down, different kind of genres, or
I didn't
whatever you
really
fancy on the day?
Yeah, I didn't really think about this, and now it's coming. Now that I've got more things out, it's a bit like I kind of should have maybe decided. So initially, I how I got started with kind of getting feedback for my work, which all writers will need to do at some point. It's not just enough to have your friends and family going, "That's really great," and then sending it out and thinking, "Yay!" I mean, of course, you can do that if you want to self-publish, which is perfectly reasonable. But if you want to go down a traditional route, then at some point you need to get people who don't know you to read your work.
Mhm.
And I was in a position where I couldn't afford like an MA, or even to join amazing organizations that are out there, Write Mentor, Author Mentor Match, Scooby, Society of Children's Book Illustrators. All of these places are fantastic and have massive networks. But I couldn't afford to join them. They're a couple of £100,
Mhm.
and I'm working. I've got 2 young kids, so I was kind of trying to find free places I could go to sort of give feedback and get feedback. And I joined an amazing site, which I mean, I think you've got to be kind of at least 16 probably to enter, but it's an American site called scribophile.com, and they have free and paid options. But when I joined, I do remember hearing someone say in an interview once, if you just don't want to get any hassle for being male, female, whatever, then it's better to use your initials.
Okay.
So yeah, so I kind of joined up to this site as EL, which is
Mhm.
Emma Louise. I didn't have a problem with that, but especially the stuff I was first posting, which was short stories, and I would write from any point of view. I think we can, the writing thing is empathy, so you can easily imagine what it's like to be a different gender, a different age, a different race. So yeah, so it was basically to stop the trolls, I guess,
Okay.
really. And then that kind of stuck. But now it seems that maybe EL is more, I think that's going to be kind of on things that are kind of non-fiction, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, for kind of biographies and other non-fiction projects I'm doing. And Emma will be, or M, but Emma will be on. I'm out now, aren't I? So
Yes.
if you don't read something written by she, her, then yeah, so it's fine to call me whatever. But that's where it started from, was literally not to be yeah, not to kind of get any hassle, really.
Yeah, I mean, understandable. So, talking about like the journey and starting. So, I did a little research, and you began studying film at university, and then you're kind of here. Where did the kind of change come? When was it that you sort of took a different approach, or did you start kind of doing film with this in mind for a particular reason?
um I'd really love to be, well, no, maybe I wouldn't love to be one of those people that had a plan, I think. Yeah, no, my life up to this point has kind of shown that plans don't really necessarily work out. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yes.
what I can say is that and I don't think it's a prerequisite for any writer or anyone creative really, but I do know that from about age 10 I wanted to write. Like I used to love reading. It kind of opened up the whole world for me. I used to read to kind of, you know, be in a different environment than the one I was in. I was kind of, you know, brought up in care, in children's homes, foster homes, all that kind of stuff. So I always wanted to write, but I never put anything on that, if that makes sense. So I never thought or said, I want to write novels, or I want to write songs, or, you know, I want to write graphic comics or whatever. I just knew I wanted to use words to express extreme emotion that I couldn't always articulate, and that I wanted to kind of make stuff up, really. So yeah, so I kind of did English A level back in my day. Yeah, English A level, enjoyed that. That was fine, but knew that I didn't want to study at a university.
Mm-hmm.
Um, although I enjoyed A level and, you know, got a decent grade, there was something about, I think it was because for the first time I kind of looked at poetry. I don't write poetry or anything. Apart from, you know, really teenage stuff when I was 14, which it was a great outlet because the world was terrible and I could sort of, you know, say that on the page. But yeah, but even in doing A level, taking poetry apart, for me, that didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like listening to a piece of music and someone explaining, you know, they've written this many bars and this many notes, and what it means is this and that. And I don't know, picking apart English
Yeah.
and stories and poetry ruined it for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that that is what it would be at degree level.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had a bit of a Scrabble panic. And at the time I had no parental advice or anything. I was living on my own since I was about 17. So I had no one to kind of say, what should I do? But
Yeah.
I kind of thought, oh, I do want to go to university. You know, I do want to study. Back in my day, it was free. I was the last person to get, like, you know, free education. But I was a massive film buff, huge film buff. Like I just spent so many afternoons going to the cinema on my own and coming out and being transformed. So yeah, so I think I'd messed up A levels first time around. I did English, yeah, and I failed to, or messed them up. Did communications and philosophy. So I left where I was living, which was Exeter, and followed a boyfriend, not just followed a boy. That sounds so random. Followed a boyfriend to London and decided that I'd be best off retaking some A levels.
Mm-hmm.
So I did communications again, and then I did film. So film was an option, which is where I fell in love with film and realized it was the exact opposite of English. So if you picked apart a film and you learned more about, you know, camera angles and the music and how things worked, then it actually added layers, kind of added richness and enjoyment. So yeah, so that was quite easy for me then to go, oh, okay, I'll do film at university. And in one of the, you know, one of the years was a unit on script writing. And I kind of quickly realized that that was my thing. That was the thing that I was passionate about, was characters, and, you know, voice, as in how characters speak, and a real strong sense of that kind of, yeah, that kind of thing. So from then, it was just a kind of blend of trying to bring those things together, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I was never going to write films, because especially at the time, I didn't think particularly visually. I wouldn't really think in pictures necessarily. You know, some people see whole worlds, don't they? And especially, but I would not quite hear voices, but so I would kind of hear voices. I would get people just come into my head and they were kind of fully there. But I always, even throughout kind of at uni, I kind of wrote short stories. So that's how I sort of developed that kind of, you know, how to write a story, really. And I loved reading short stories, and they were really good for, you know, my attention span, and I get bored really quickly. So a novelist has really got to impress me for me to stay with them for like 400 pages.
Yeah.
Whereas a short story, I can, you know, you can dip in and out, can't you? When I was a teen, I was really into Stephen King's short stories.
Mhm.
Not his novels so much, and not really bad, not really kind of graphic horror, just his sense of kind of character and stuff is always really amazing. But I was into loads of different short stories, so I kind of wrote those, and then I got to about 40. It was just before I was 40, and I thought, do you know what? I wonder if I can write anything longer
Mm.
than like 5,000 words. So before then, I wasn't at all bothered. Like I was never like, I'm going to write books, and I wasn't fussed really. But I really enjoy and feel most alive when I'm challenging myself and doing something that I don't really think I can do,
Yeah.
just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So I was a bit like, okay, do you know what? Before I turn 40, I'll give myself a year to see if I can write a novel, to see if I can write something longer. And yeah, and so that's kind of how I got into writing, a book, like a book length thing.
Mm.
Yeah. So that was a very rambling answer, Luke,
No,
but
it's okay.
no.
I mean, I feel like it's really useful though. I was also told when I was like 15, 16 by a chemistry teacher, I remember, and her advice was don't study what you enjoy, which to me was fascinating, and I was like, why, and it was kind of on the idea of what you said, picking apart things, and it sort of takes away the enjoyment, or it takes away like the simple admiration of it, as opposed to you're then overthinking it, and I get that, and that advice does not translate to everyone. There might be people out there that absolutely love English, want to study English, will do a master's in English, and then will become English professors, and that is also very valid and true. But I think what you said is important, because you find it, and I think in a very deeper sense of the word, you find these things, and they work themselves out in a kind of way. And I think to the younger generation as well, there is so much pressure nowadays of, so many people going to university and so much going on, and also so many choices, which is a good and a bad thing. But I think we need to also stress the idea of absolutely don't worry too, like,
Massively. And yeah, it really is, don't worry. And
yeah.
it's one of those things that is quite easy to say, isn't it? And then it's much harder to really internalize that don't worry kind of thing. I've got two kids myself, so they're 12 and 13. And and it's really easy for me as a parent, and to say don't worry or don't care what people think or whatever, but of course we do. Do you know what I mean? We spend most of our teens desperately wanting to fit in, and then you reach 15, 16, and you want to do the opposite. You want to be like, I don't want to fit in, I want to be really different.
Yeah.
It's kind of really funny, because we do all go through that, even if people might look at me and see a middle-aged woman. I can remember, which is why I love writing for younger people. I can so tap into like myself from about 13 to 20, like massively, because that me is always under the surface and underpins who I am now. But it really is a case of don't worry, or if you're going to worry about it, like what you're going to do in your future, or how you get to be a writer, or how you get to be creative, just really deeply know that if it is what you really want to do, and it is how you express yourself, and it's really important to you, that it will always find a way. Like it will always find a way to come out. And it might not be how you're thinking it will come out, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So
Yeah.
for me, like I always like kind of talking beyond the surface of things. Do you know what I mean? So it's really easy to go, oh, I'm Emma and I've written this book and blah, 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 and go and buy it and it's great. But I didn't start off wanting to be a novelist for a start. I didn't start off wanting to write for children. The novel that I did write in my kind of 40th year, I did it. I met my own challenge. I wrote a novel longhand. In 9 months, I did about 50,000 words. It was a terrible ramble. Like I didn't have any plot or any, I just kind of was writing. Yeah, I was just kind of writing. And I was going out, I had limited time. So I was going out to a cafe on a Saturday and Sunday morning, like 10 till 1, and I was loving it. My husband was home with the kids and I was writing. And I managed to do it in about 9 months. And then I found this online group. And I kind of thought, oh, it's done. Everyone's just going to say it's great. And I found this online. Yeah, right. I found this, and I had shared work before. Do you know what I mean? So I was a little bit used to people saying, "Oh, you know, that might not work or whatever." But yeah, but then I put this work out there, and the way the site works is it's not a quick buck and it's not a quick fix. So the site is brilliant, and they call it Karma, their system. But what you do is you post a chapter, say 3,000 words, and for you to post that chapter, it costs you 5 karma points. And to earn karma, you have to critique or give feedback on someone else's work. And for each piece you read, you get 2 karma points or whatever it is. So the whole site is set up for give and take. And again, that isn't for everyone. And it took me about 6 months. I mean, I knew I was in it for the long haul anyway, because I'd wanted to write since I was 10. So I wasn't in a rush. But yeah, it took me like 6 months to find my tribe, to find people that I could really connect with, understood what I was trying to do or say, and that could improve what I was trying to do or say. And it's all online. So, it was very, how difficult it can be to sort of interpret someone's meaning behind a comment or whatever. So it was all a balance of that as well. But, I found 2 or 3 people that I'm still friends with now. It's like 5 years later. Several people from the site go on to be, traditionally published. And it's just really important to think that the writing will find its way to you. But when I finished my book and I was like, okay, let's go. I got a grant to do Arvon do brilliant residential courses. I don't know if you've heard of them. But they do things for schools as well. They do, people look into Arvon and speak to their school that, they can give money and grants. And they have these beautiful houses around the country. You go for a week and immerse yourself. And again, I used to look at this catalogue and be like, oh my God, I really want to go. I really want to go. Yeah. They're like, for me, it's horrendously expensive. Like I haven't got £700 to spend for a week. But they do grants. So I think it was in 2014, I got a grant. I had to pay a bit, so I saved up, but I got a grant to go and spend a week with real writers and published writers, and it was just amazing. And when I was there, you get a tutorial as part of the week. So I'd submitted the first sort of 3,000 words of this book, but it'd taken me 9 months, and kind of at that point I'd been working on it for about 1.5 years, I think, and I had a big revelation. And basically, one of the writers there, who was fantastic, her feedback was fantastic. She gave me real confidence to just trust my voice, because I was sort of saying, oh, is it, it's in first person, I'm hearing that's not going to work. And at the time I didn't even really know the difference between first, second, third person and past and present. I was just writing. She said, well, you need to kind of trust yourself. And I went away, and when I got home I realized that it wasn't an adult book. It wasn't for adults. It would have to be for young people. And that was because of the position of the person. So they had to be somewhere where they couldn't walk away. Yes. It was set in a children's home, and if they were an adult, they'd just be able to leave. Do you know what I mean? But the whole point is that as young people, we don't always get to make all the decisions, but that played into the story really well. And then it took me like a further 2.5, 3 years to edit it, to get it into shape. So if you do want to write and you know it's for you, it is the main thing. Well, there's 2 main things. One of them is never give up, really. Perseverance is the thing you will need the most. Just keep going, trying different and new things. And the other thing is not early on in the process, but at some point be comfortable with having people read your work, and realizing, really, really deeply realizing that if they say, this isn't very clear, or maybe you could phrase it this way, or I'm not sure what you're getting at here, be very clear that that isn't a reflection of you. No one's saying this isn't, you're not working, this is, it's just the words. And it can be, when we're so connected and it's a real part of us or our story, or even if it's total fantasy, or fantasy world or dystopia or whatever, when we write and we really want to write and connect with people, we're putting our bit of ourselves in there. We can't help but do that. So it can be really, the earlier you can separate someone, you know, positively criticizing my work and it's not a reflection on me, then the better, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really insightful as well, because all of these things are possibly something that young writers haven't necessarily thought about, because you know, you don't always think about that step and the process. You know, you have the goal of, as you say, oh, you know, I want to write a novel, but it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't, you know, you don't sit at a laptop. I think in like sometimes TV shows and movies, you get this idea where someone goes, okay, I'm going to write this novel, and then they stay up till 3 a.m. drinking coffee, and the next morning it's in the bookstores. And it really, that's not the real world. However, it is also, you know, stuff that can happen in these dreams, these fantasies. But it's really important to take those steps and understand how you get there. And I think what you've said is, you know, I've learned a lot. I don't write novels, but I've learned a lot about the process as well, just from what you're saying. And it is important to know this. And if you know the process, and it's easier to kind of achieve where you're trying to go if you know how to get there. And
Yeah.
kind of showing other people your work and exposing that side, the creative side of you, can be a really, really difficult thing, especially at a younger age. And that's not even something that, you know, you have to do it at 16 years old if you want to write novels or whatnot. It's, you don't, you know, you don't have to be at a point where you want to send that page out. But you know, you're totally right. At some point people will read it and that's
If
the point.
if that's what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of weird, isn't it? Because I started off writing for myself. So I wrote a diary, you know, when I was kind of 12, 13. So I'd read Anne Frank's diary,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of, you know, blew me away, really. And I kind of thought, oh, that's a good idea. You know, all the stuff I can't tell anyone, and all the stuff about, you know, my first crushes or going out or whatever, I would write in a diary. And it was in a really informal way. And obviously, I never intended that to be read. I'd be mortified if that was read. But that was a really good, I think we're all, it's quite easy sometimes to think creativity is one thing.
Yeah.
Or has to be down one path. You know, I'm an artist, or I'm a musician, or I'm a singer, or, you know, and I just think, like most things, like, you know, in life, I just think it's so much broader than that. And it's all kind of recognize and celebrate that it's broader than that. So, you know, one day you might want to write a comic strip, do you know what I mean? And the next you might want to write a song, or you might want to put some music to a drawing. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different forms, and you don't have to. It was just enough for me to know that I wanted to write, to know that I liked words, I liked the rhythm of words, I liked seeing a character on a page, but I didn't limit myself to, you know, that has to be poetry or flash fiction or you know. So yeah, I think that sort of thing of just, you do it for yourself first, and then I think it is just a human thing. At some point we just think, I wonder what so and so will think. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
might be boyfriend, girlfriend, that might be a best friend, that might be a parent, but you just sort of go, I just wonder what, you know, someone else will think. And then it's from there, I think, you realize, or you think, oh, maybe I'd like complete and utter stranger to read it. And yeah, but it's just, I think we just think of any creativity as a way of communicating all the tumultuous, you know, emotions and thoughts that go on in this weird little grey centre. A way of getting it out and kind of expressing everything, really: joy, sadness, frustration, and seeing it there and having a record and being able to kind of analyze it and learn from it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think ultimately as well, it comes down to just simple as doing what you enjoy and what you love. And that doesn't have to become a career. You know, if you enjoy writing for the sake of writing, then go for it. And I think if you enjoy writing and you want to be a writer, then just doing it, quite simply, you know, doing what you love, doing what feels right, will ultimately send you down the right path, you know, essentially. But we should get on to Amber Undercover. So you know, with everything that we've been talking about, here is a final product of these years and writing camps and feedback. Here is a product, and the book is out now. So do you want to give us a little bit of an introduction into Amber's world, or what is it like to be revealed about Amber?
Yeah, so Amber, so this is definitely kind of very light-hearted, a bit of a relief from pandemic world, really. So yeah, so we're talking action adventure for
Mhm.
everyone. But Amber's the heroine. So Amber Roberts is 14 years old. And the book is definitely aimed for kind of 10 to 13-year-olds, I think.
Mhm.
So my son read it when he was 13. He said he still enjoyed it. So he might have just been saying that to get extra time.
Pocket money.
Yeah. But yeah, so Amber is 14 and she's just a normal schoolgirl, and she's kind of negotiating secondary school, and the fact that her best friend Violet is kind of hanging out with the girls that she remembers not being that nice from kind of primary school. And Amber's on the quieter side. She's more of she'll hang back and observe.
Mm.
Whereas her best friend Violet is more like, join me for drama club, and more kind of out there. And it's about the fact that her and Violet go one day to an escape room experience, and just for a laugh, they think they're testing out some kind of teen research. But while they're there, they're being observed, and Amber basically is recruited to be an undercover spy. As would happen. Yeah, and it's kind of about, I mean, on the surface level, because there's always multiple meanings to everything. So on a surface level, it's pure entertainment.
Mhm.
You know, why should why should Alex Rider and Jason Bourne and James Bond have all the fun, really?
Mhm.
We don't often get to see, I mean, Charlie's Angels are a team, and it's not quite the same thing, really.
Yeah.
So, we just wanted that kind of relatable and ordinary person put into extraordinary circumstances, which you can probably boil down to, a log line for kind of most books, really, or when things become interesting.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so it's how she negotiates that. So her parents, she lives with both parents, but her parents spring a huge bombshell on her quite early on in the book.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm not going to give any spoilers, because please buy it.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford to buy it, request it from your library,
Yeah.
because we love libraries,
Mhm.
and they'll get it in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's how, the whole book is how Amber negotiates her changing friendship with Violet, and being an undercover spy and keeping that a secret from people. And then sort of quite early on in the book, she goes on her first mission, which is to infiltrate a group of hackers at an elite boarding school. Um, so yeah, it was huge fun to write. Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously about an undercover spy, but as you say, it draws a lot of parallels to just teen life, navigating friendships and relationships, and kind of fitting in or not fitting in or whatever. So it's something that is relatable to, I think, to a lot of teenagers, and I'm sure will help a lot of people out there at the very same time. It's a really cool piece. So yeah, I mean, it's out now. Absolutely, go and
Yeah.
buy it if you want your own copy. Request it at a library; they will get it in. But it's fantastic, and it sounds really, really interesting, and I'm sure you'll love it. I'm sure everyone will love it.
It's just meant to be good fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do like to also write, I just love writing. So, it's not a deep emotional read where you'll be sobbing.
Mhm.
I do like to write stuff like that, but this isn't that. This is just pure fun, entertainment, light-hearted, bit of banter in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, kind of, bit of an adventure, really.
Amazing. Well, I mean, I could talk to you for hours, but we probably have to wrap it up somewhere. But as I say, Amber Undercover, Norry, out now. Go and grab it. And thank you so much for the time, taking the time, speaking with us, and helping young writers out there. I'm sure this has been really, really useful to quite a few people, or hopefully so, and that they can take away something from this. So thank you.
Well, lovely. Thank you. And if anyone has any questions, if you're old enough to be on social media, you can tweet me. I'm on Twitter at can't quite remember, el_underscore Norry, I think. I'm too old to get Instagram, so I don't really do Instagram. But I got a website, and I'm always happy. I mean, the next generation. So if you've got any questions or anything, anyone, just feel free to
Mhm.
find a way of getting in touch with me, and I'll do my best to answer.
Quick Google search. So absolutely use it. And yeah, good luck with everything. Good luck with the book and future endeavors. And again, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.